Handbells.
Sam, wait. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell at you. You can't touch. You can't touch. You're supposed to wear gloves with these.
Okay.
They are. Did I hear you say handbells?
Yeah. Are they handbells?
They are handbells. You play them with your hands.
I thought that's what they were because we've got some at the house. They're like red, yellow, green, blue. They're all.
The little ones, right?
Yeah.
I use those with my preschool kids.
Oh.
So, I mean, or early elementary. They're like precursors to the handbells. Yep, sure. Okay. It's a great place to start. It's a great place to start.
Just making sure.
Yeah, these actually are quite expensive. I mean, this is like a Walmart set of bells. You get 2 octaves, and they're a couple $1,000 if you buy them all together. But when we play them, we have to wear gloves because we want to be very careful with them. And then you pick them up, and then if you want to ring it, you want to hear one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, all right. So you kind of make like a scoop.
Scoop.
And then you stop.
And then bring it back. Okay. Yeah.
You want to try it?
Could I?
Okay, just be careful.
Okay.
Okay. Are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
Did you scoop?
Yeah, scoop.
Okay, let me see it again. Okay, all right, so you're holding it.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you scoop. Okay.
You
want to try that again?
You got the Midas touch,
I mean, I know I'm the teacher, but still. Okay, hopefully I can get this going here. Try it again.
Oh, I got one.
You did get a little ring.
But I have to get
it. Didn't sound quite right. Could you try to scoop a little? Okay, let me see it one more time. Yeah. Okay, so it has the ring.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Okay.
Okay, all right, here we go.
Oh, wait, let me see this. Okay, all right. The bell has to face you.
Oh.
Okay, because the clapper has a different setting.
Okay, all right.
And so you want to make sure that now try it.
Okay, now we'll try. All right, here we go. Scoop. Oh, there
That's
it is.
better, but make the circle.
Make circle. Oh,
make a big circle.
Big circle.
Yeah, come down like an arch, like a circle. Yeah, keep your feet flat because you don't want to move anything.
All right.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, keep going. 2, like
it's
3 o'clock.
Yeah. Oh, I went a little fast.
You have to ring together. So you prep. You have to watch the other person. Okay, and then. That's pretty good.
Oh, thank you.
That's a pretty good sound.
So
good
you
for
think I'm ready for the academy?
Yeah. Well, you can always start anytime. Well, no, you're fine, really. But we do have classes. We teach beginner, intermediate for chimes. So I usually request that they have 6 months of chimes before they jump into bells. But all of it teaches reading, teaches note reading, and it's a great way. It's like you're every key of the piano, and so everybody gets to be there 1 note or 2 notes, and then you play a song together.
Okay. Well, how about we get ready for the show?
It's time to have some fun. Light talk with Sam Beman. We got skits and interviews. We got everything but the blues. It's on. Light talk is on. Light talk with Sam Beman.
You're watching Light Talk, and no, I am not wearing a vest. I'm not wearing a jacket, and you're not watching a show about a rodeo. I actually am wearing this shirt in honor of one of my guests on today's show who's based out of Tennessee. This shirt here I actually got for a show I did years ago with Rebecca Harris. It was a Grand Ole Opry tribute show, and she asked me if I would MC and host the event. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do that, I need something that has sort of a Grand Ole Opry feel. So I found this shirt at a thrift store. Yes, that's where most of my stories revolve around. If I'm talking to you, I say, yeah, this right here, I found it at a thrift store. Yeah, this watch, I found it in a thrift. No, I'm kidding. Not this mic. But yeah, so anyways, we're going to be talking about music on today's episode. And I think that you'll be encouraged greatly by my guest. So stick around. We'll be back in just a moment.
You are not going to believe this. The other day, my little boy, my precious little angel, asked me to go on an outing with him and this other little girl.
What is an outing? Is that a 70s word? Is that...
She must not be that important because he don't talk about her a whole lot.
There's this girl in my school that I really like.
Who I have no idea who she is.
And I've been mustering up the courage to ask her out on a date.
Outing, it's not a date.
A date is supposed to be a man and a woman.
And we all know that there's no woman that a little boy's gonna love more than his mama.
Wait, well, now it's a man, woman, woman. So maybe it's an outing now. I just don't even know anymore.
It's just an outing. That's all it is. Not a date.
This is a date.
I decided we'd go because we're all friends here.
We're not friends. I tell you, I swear to you, if she calls me her friend one more time,
I'm friends with my son, and he's friends with this little girl, and
I'm literally going to have an inner spaz attack.
my precious little angel.
The relationship is mother and son.
That's all it is.
I come downstairs, get some food, and go back upstairs. That's all I do.
You love your mom?
What? What? She buys me a card every Valentine's Day, and I sign that. Is that love? Is that true love? Shut up!
So there was this kid who came up to me in the hallway, and he asked me out, and I was like, that's really weird. Like, I've never seen him before, but I said yes. But it was really weird.
I can hear you. I'm social distancing. I'm still socially hearing. Okay.
I'm sorry, madam, but only 2 people are allowed at the table, and one of you has to leave. I think you know who.
I went out with him and his mom. His mom. Okay. And I don't know what happened, but I think this is where it stops. They're just too weird.
I'm right here. Right here. That hurt. Right here.
Hey guys, we have a special show lined up for you today. And here with me is Kathy Morris of the Church Music Academy.
Yes.
Thank you so much for showing me how the handbells work here.
Oh, that was fun. That's great. Thanks.
I know that, I was having fun with it and making light of it, but I know that there is nothing to make light of those bells because, like you said, they're really expensive.
And they're beautiful instruments.
are.
I mean, when you get 8 or 10 people there,
Oh.
you can even play a solo. You can put all your 12 bells up and have one person. I've never learned how to do that, but it's very interesting to see one person play the whole set. It's beautiful. They have bell trees where you can hang them up in a row and use mallets. And I mean, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn.
Being at some of the concerts, well, being at a lot of the concerts over the past, I guess it's been about 5 years now. Mm-hmm. I've been to a number of them, and I remember one of the first ones that I went to was, I don't know if you remember this, but it was at the church. Oh my goodness! It has the elevator shaft inside. That's like the old elevator shaft. I think it's where the fort is now.
Oh, at Eastern Heights.
Yeah, Eastern Heights, yes. And I remember getting into and I was on a walker because that's when I was going through my chemo treatments.
Okay.
And so I just remember I could not walk up the stairs. And I was like, oh, I have to get on the elevator. And like the elevator pulled the gate too.
Right, that was the church, right.
And I remember just going up. I was scared to get out. Keep that in mind. I was scared to get out of the house because of how much pain I was in and everything. And so I remember getting there thinking like, oh, is the elevator going to fall? Because I didn't know what was going to happen because I was so scared. And then when I got in there, I remember it was hot. It was like in the summer, I think. It was on the latter part of the summer.
Music camp, probably.
And I remember I was just kind of laying over in the pew, and I was like, oh, that sounds so good. And then a wasp came and flew by me. I was like, oh no, I can't get away from the wasp.
I'm sorry. They're not all like that.
It was one of those. That was the first one that I wrote, and I think it was the camp.
The music camp.
But it was so funny because I was in so much pain, and the music was beautiful, and I was trying to listen to the music, and then I think it was like a door was open or something, and then a wasp flew in, and that was the comedy side of it. But I've been to several over the years, and they're just amazing. How did the Academy start?
Oh, well, it's about 17 years old now,
Okay.
And I'm a private piano teacher in town, and so I came out of Shorter College with a degree in church music and prayed about my job. I mean, that's really where we went. I prayed for a purpose. I didn't want just a 9-to-5 job. My mom was a homemaker, and I just kind of wanted to hang around the house and just be who the Lord wanted me to be. And so I didn't know how to do that. And so I prayed about my job, and He opened this door about set up a studio and start teaching. And so I did that for 15 years as a classical piano teacher in my great-grandfather's home. I will say he used a Bible verse in Isaiah 53:1, I think, that says, look to the rock from which you were hewn, look to the quarry from which you were dug, look to Abraham your father and Sarah your mother who gave you birth in pain. And I moved into my great-grandfather's house. And so that was the quarry from which we were dug. And it matched exactly with the scripture. And I did that for 15 years. And but my degree was in church music from Shorter. And so I was just kind of like, I'm over here in classical music, it's okay, I'm doing my recitals. And then I did parent conferences. This is an interesting little story, I'll make it short, but I did my parent conferences. And one at a time, they kind of did this every year, and just, how's your student, how's it going, what can I help you with, and everything. And I had a whole set of pastors' children, and they came in, and the first one came in and said, they're doing great, we love, they're learning Beethoven and everything, but they can't play Amazing Grace from a hymnal. And I'm like, okay, well, I can work on that for you. Well, the second one came in right behind him. Okay, and said the same thing as I can, we're memorizing the classics. They're learning great. We love it being here, but they just, they've got a company or they're trying to improv or, we need to play hymns. I was like, okay, well, I can work with that. Third, fourth, 5 in a row. No way. 5 in a row came in, said the exact same thing. By the 5th person, I said, that's fine. I said, if we do this, I said, I'm going to have to set a different track. It's kind of, classical music teaches one thing, improv and church music is lead sheets is very different, accompanying is very different from solo playing. And it's like, I can do this, but if I do this, I'm just going to divide the curriculum. We're going to make an all sacred curriculum, and I'll just call it the Church Music Academy. It just came out of my mouth just like that to the 5th parent. And I had been asked to lead or kind of rally back up a homeschool choir that had been in Columbus and had fallen to a disarray, I guess, just not really active. And I had a parent that was really pushing me to be involved in that. And so I rallied some people. I talked to Heather Turner at the time, Heather Kazire now, and asked her if she would accompany the choir. And she's like, who all's in this choir? And I was like, I don't know, they're all your friends. I mean, they were homeschoolers and just people in Harris County at the time that they knew. And so we started the choir first, and that became our foundation.
Oh,
and then I had a student, we were meeting in Hamilton, and she was a part of the choir, and she could do sign language. And she's like, do you care if we do sign language in front of choir and just kind of meet with the parents and anybody that wants to join? And so she had a mission is called Hands of Grace is what she did. And so when she graduated and moved, we kept her name. And so now that's where our sign language class comes from. Leah McGregor is our teacher now.
Yeah,
and it just added. I mean, somebody came in, said they came from Tennessee. We did handbells. Do you care if we help start a handbell, program? I was like, if you can start a handbell, I'm right here with you.
Well, and you also
Rose
have
Hill had them.
The keyboard. You have the guitar. I mean, there's all kind of different types of classes.
There is.
What I've seen.
The goal of the academy was, when I was growing up in the 70s, you had to go to a particular church that had a youth choir or had an orchestra or had handbells. You had to go to that church in order to participate in those activities.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of like that now, because I know parents are real strict about where their youth groups, where they want their friends to come from, and I get that. But musically, it was like, well, you had to go to this church to be in this choir, to go on this mission trip, and so as the academy evolved, it was more of, this is going to be something that's for the community, and you can go, it's a Christian base, so whatever Christian church you're involved in, you come here, we will teach you, train the church musicians, and then you go out to your local church. So you don't have to go to this church to participate in this program. We're not a church, we're a community organization. Our motto is music, M-U-S-I-C, musical understanding, strengthened in Christ. And so students from, and adults as well, but from all the different churches come through our program, and then they go back to their local churches and are in the praise and worship teams. I teach church pianists, church accompanists, I teach accompanying, improv. We've had guitar teachers in and out of the program. Choir, singing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Choir, praise teams. I mean, there's all kind of different areas. And then, of course, the community concerts that I've seen, like at Valley Rescue Mission.
Yes, we've gone out into the community.
Those are some really moving services. I mean, years ago I used to sing. It was like the fourth Friday of each month, and I used to sing down at Valley Rescue Mission with a friend of mine who would preach, and then I started doing comedy and things like that as well. But of course, I've been to the concerts that you've put on down there as well, and the guys there, they're so hungry, and I mean, it's like they give a standing ovation. Like, they are so hungry, and they love and appreciate every song.
That's always the students' favorite place to perform. We can go, we do lunches for senior adults. We've done community retirement homes, and we've done weddings. We accompanied the choir at Calvary School. We were asked to take our handbells and accompany with their choir. So, I mean, it's just kind of as it comes up or as the opportunity presents itself. But that has always been their favorite. There's just something about the dynamics in ministry. And I try to keep that as a venue. I always tell people we're not a performance choir. I want the quality of that. I want the uniformity. I want them to know and feel good about themselves and to do well what we do. I think that's in Scripture. And one of the Psalms says to play with a 10-string lyre. You think of a harp that's maybe got 3 or 4 strings or something, but a 10-string lyre is just abundant. Just play skillfully. That's another psalm. It's 3 or 4 or 5 times in the Psalms to play skillfully before the Lord. And so to train us and to do well what we do, but with a purpose. The mission orientation is where our heart is, not just, oh, you sound good or you're a performance choir. I mean, that's falls short of our goal.
Well, how can people get a hold of you? Like, for anybody watching that says, you know what, I want to find out more information. I'd love to sign up, or I'd love to, get one of my children, to be a part of this, to register? Because you're located in the Columbus, Georgia area.
Yes,
correct?
we meet at Rose Hill Baptist
Okay,
Church.
Rose Hill Baptist. And so is there a website that you would want to direct people to?
Yes, we have, our website is thechurchmusicacademy.org. We also have a Facebook page, which is The Church Music Academy at the Facebook. My cell number, can I say that? Or does...
If you don't mind, but
I mean,
the cell number would probably be blowing up.
The email address, let's keep it there, is,
Yeah.
is churchmusic@bellsouth.net. If you email me, I'll put you in touch with the telephone number. But
Sounds good.
I think it's on the Facebook page, actually. But I'm the founder director, and so I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Or, we're getting our registration ready for the fall. You mentioned about how many times a year we go through
it's
that.
reoccurring.
We do fall and spring enrollments, and then we have a summer music academy that we just finished. And with all the COVID going on right now, we did that online, and it was great. We had 4 teachers and 5 classes, and it was all online. We just did our presentation this past week on Zoom.
Fantastic.
So that was kind of cool to have just this whole, the pianist played and the students just presented what they had done in their classes. And then, but this fall right now, we're planning on being live at Rose Hill. We meet on Thursdays from 1 to 5, give or take. We'll publish the schedule when it gets ready. But we are offering handbells and our signing classes, our Hands of Grace class. We're going to do a vocal coaching class. And just looking forward to a good fall.
Well, and I know that your students, not only are you teaching them, to sing and to play skillfully, but some are even like artists themselves, where they're creating through what they've learned and their own inspiration, and they're doing their own music and they're doing their own songs. And I believe we have somebody in the studio that is going to be sharing.
Yes.
Coming up. And,
yes.
Tell us who we have.
This is Macy Cardwell, and she will be playing a song for you that's an original composition that she wrote. And I've had the privilege of being her piano teacher. I think I'm her only teacher, but for most all of her life, I guess. But one of the goals of a teacher, I think of a good teacher, I want to say, is to be able to allow the student to grow and foster their talent. That you're not trying to create little teachers, whoever the teacher is. It's that you're able to take who they are and shape them and give them an environment. And that's one of the things the Academy does, is that we give a platform for students to learn who they are and to practice, so to speak, performing in front of us in a safe environment. And so when they're ready to go out to their local churches or ready, we've got some that are ministers of music in the local, churches, and some that are going to be on television because she got recorded in just a few minutes. But Macy is certainly a wonderful young lady, and we're delighted that she's here today to share with us.
Well, thank you so much, Kathy, for coming by in the studio. Thank you for being on Light Talk. And be sure to check out the website for more information. We'll take a break, and we'll be back with Macy in just a moment.
You stood inside your own failures, and you could beautiful child. So how can you say you're nothing? You are part of my plan. How can you say you're ugly? I made you with my own two hands. How can you say you're worthless? I have paid with my life. How could I make the universe without making you? How could I have a church without everything you can do? Your life to me was worth more than my own. Your life was worth stepping down from my throne. So how can you say you're nothing when you're part of my plan? How can you say you're ugly when I made you with my own two hands? How can you say you're worthless when I paid with my life? And I do it again 1,000 times. I do anything to save your life.
Welcome back. Now I want to head on over to Franklin, Tennessee with the legendary Billy Smiley. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing great. I am here at the studio right now.
Okay, now which studio is this again?
This is called the Sound Kitchen. It's one of the most famous studios, but it's in Franklin, Tennessee, which is about 14 miles south of Nashville.
I love Franklin. I love.
Yep.
I was there about a year ago, I guess, for Christian Film Festival.
Yeah.
Over at the factory.
Yep.
Love the area.
Yep. We're about 2 miles from the factory.
Okay. Next time I'm up, I have to stop by.
Sure, no problem.
Now, how have you been? I mean, we haven't seen each other in a while, since the film festival in Orlando.
Right. I've been great. I go to about 4 or 6 of those conferences, and that's where, because I judge a lot and mentor and speak about the role of a producer. And in today's world, not the COVID world, but the regular world of artists doing it DIY, they call it, doing it yourself and trying to figure out how do we do this. There's a lot of things that benefit artists that were never available because you either had to be signed by a label or the old myth, don't do it unless you're signed by a label and they pay for everything. And that just isn't the case anymore, So it's a real interesting time. I've been blessed with more great artists than I've ever seen because of, I think, these kids growing up with YouTube and being able to hear and apply the music that they hear and put it into themselves. But there's less, it seems like there's less music where it's individualistic, where, it doesn't sound like anybody else because they're being engaged by all these artists and they're influenced by it. And then you have all the shows, the American Idols and the Voices that again do cover songs. So we've really seen a lack of originality. That's great, Which
you've been doing this since the early '80s with with your own music career in what part? Because you've seen a lot of the trends over the past few decades, and
it still comes down to a great song.
Okay.
An artist bringing in a charisma, whether it's an ego or an attitude or a humble or afraid or fear, but there's something there, an intangible that says that's an artist. And it still comes with a great song. But Nashville has always been about the song. But I still think I grew up in Detroit and the Midwest with Bob Seger, Ted Nugent, Stevie Wonder, and there was individual kind of emotions coming from all those Midwest people that said, hey, I'm just doing what I feel and not doing the trends. So I just really encourage artists to find themselves
Okay.
and to stick with it. Don't don't cater to, well, being another Taylor Swift. You know, we don't need one.
I I can identify with that.
And so I really help artists if they have 4 or 5 artists that they loved growing up, putting all of those into, because we're all influenced by people. The things that I love is a smorgasbord of different styles that I loved and then grabbed pieces of and then created White Heart out of that with the other guys, you know.
Okay.
And a band's interesting because you have 4 or 5 different guys that put all of their influences in. Whereas a solo artist, you're dealt with one artist that does the music, you know, that they like.
That's interesting. I like that angle. I haven't thought about that. I mean, I have thought about, obviously, you know, everybody coming together as a band, but all those different types of influences coming together, and then it's like a melting pot, which I guess
That's why they're great, but they're hard to live with. It's like a family. So you got the younger brother who listens to metal, and then you got the girl who listens to Joni Mitchell, you know, and you're smashing all that together and everybody's happy. That's hard to stay for a while.
Even past Whiteheart, like you've still gone on to write numerous songs over the years. I mean, how many do you think that you've written?
Probably over 1,000. But it takes many hours. My son's in a rock group and he's put in his 10,000 hours. It takes, you know, the true artists really have to put in at least 10,000 hours to really even get started. And there's no cheating it, because by doing those hours, that's whether it's live playing, looking at videos, writing songs, recording, you got to put in the hours to be great. And usually people will tell you if you're great, and you get the clue phone if you're not. You know, you go, well, I've put in the hours, but if people aren't responding, well, that might be saying something. So
okay. That I can see that. That is true. Yeah, I've heard that even with like YouTube, you know, or any kind of social media platform that involves a video, people will typically share your video if it's really good or really bad.
Right. Yeah, you got one or the other.
Yeah. Like, this is so awful. You got to see this. Or
right.
This is an amazing song. You know, this is an amazing video. You got to see this. But somewhere in between, it's like, oh, that was great.
You don't want to be there.
Yeah.
In the middle.
Well,
either
I know
be really lousy or really great is the way to be.
Well, and of course, you're continuing to do that with training up artists. And we'd like to be able to, you know, for anybody watching right now that says, man, I want to find out more about Billy. I want to find out more about the production company. We want to send them over to musiccitycollective.com and also northernshoreproductions.com. So
yeah, Music City Collective is a collective of probably 10 to 15 people here in town that I use almost like a label.
Okay.
But but it's like a menu. Artists will come in and they might say, well, I've already got a video guy back home, or I've got a photographer, you know, so I really do the music, and my strength is working on songs and creating the direction. But all these other things I can forward and say, hey, you ought to check out this person who knows Spotify and how to help you get onto there. And so Music City Collective is a collective of very qualified people in town that can help the artist who's really serious. NorthernShoreProductions.com is basically the website for the production side of things.
Okay. Well, we'd love for people that are very serious about wanting to be an artist. Of course, you know, thinking about putting in those hours too. Like that's really valuable information right there.
Especially in COVID time, man, you can really be creative at home for 5 months and put in a lot of things. You know, I use players depending on the kind of artist. If they're bands, that's one thing, but I work with a lot of solo artists, both guys and girls, and duos and trios. And so I use some of the best, you know, musicians in town that do hit records. And so their music will come alive like they've never even imagined, because if you have the drummer for Sheryl Crow's band and the bass player for Robert Plant, and you know, playing on the record, it's going to make a difference and it's going to matter. And they're all friends of mine, and they love playing for music that I do, because we're really, you were speaking about Garth Brooks. Our keyboard player plays with Garth Brooks right now, and you know, and he has a lot of fun. He played on a couple of Elizabeth South songs.
Oh,
He
yes.
did all the keyboards. Yeah, he does the keyboards for her stuff. So,
That is
so it's
amazing.
a really fun thing, and you really not have to use the same players. You've got to really, again, find the uniqueness of each artist. And I do gospel, worship, country, Americana, rock, pop. I've just got a new girl who's pretty much exploding in the pop world right now with TikTok and all of that. You know,
Okay.
that's a whole nother thing, you know.
Well, and we want to be able to check in with some of these artists. So how about we schedule another time to see if we can check in?
Yeah, I'll try and set up a couple of them.
Okay.
That one's from Australia that we're trying to get our time zones correct.
I know.
And we might do one, maybe this pop artist, or I've got a really, really incredible singer-songwriter from Florida
Okay.
that might be perfect for this, because for a lot of the artists that are listening out there, she started from that very vulnerable, not sure of what she was doing, and has really come a huge difference to where her life is and what she does.
Well, I can't wait to talk with her, and let's check back in again.
Will do.
All right. Well, thank you, Billy, for being able to take some time with us here on Light Talk. And until we see each other again, I hope this shirt is okay.
I love this shirt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I wear
So
this?
check me out at themusiccitycollective.com and you'll be all set. But man, I'm going to need a shirt like that.
Okay. All right. I'll see if I can bring you one up to Nashville.
Maybe a brown one.
Brown one. Okay. I'll see if I can find one for you.
All righty. We'll see you.
We appreciate it. And we'll be back in just a moment.
You know, most artists, if you have a good gift, you want to understand if your gift is that good, if you can compete. I mean, you see the voices and the American Idols, and there's, you know, millions of people trying to be heard. And so that's what's changed the industry a lot. So it's kind of an interesting time. It's actually really cool because everything's up in the air. Anything can happen. You just have to persist and persevere.
Yeah.
You know, those two words, I think.
And
Don't give up.
that's right.
That's
Don't give
it.
up. Don't
There's
give
a
up.
good one. Tie into your song.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you, Billy,
Check it
so
Oh,
much.
it's my pleasure for being here.
And
Yeah.
thank you, Elizabeth.
You're welcome.
So I tell you what, why don't we go ahead and take a break? We'll be back later on in the program. You're watching Light Talk. I'm so sad because it's time to land the plane, as some of my good friends would say. Yes, the show is about over. Let's go ahead and start running the credits at the bottom and who produced it. No, I'm kidding. But as I was telling Billy earlier, that when I wanted to be a Christian singer years ago, I had a good friend of mine who basically heard me sing, and I sounded more country. I had a country twang to it when I sang. Everything sounded country. But then I tried to sound like this. I mean, I was all over the map. And what I decided was, I'm going to stop focusing so much on all the artists that I want to sound like, and I need to find my own voice. So that's when I started writing my music. Writing music, not my music, but I started writing music, and really I was just thrown into it because a friend of mine said, "Hey, you sing, don't you? Why don't you sing at my wedding?" I said, "When is it?" He's like, 2 weeks. What? So I was going to sing a song that he wanted me to sing. Then he decided, why don't you just go ahead and write something? Can't you write something? I'm like, yeah, I've never done that before, but why not? So I wrote a song as a duet. And then that was the moment that I really found my voice, because I wasn't trying to sound like somebody else, because it came from within, because it was something that meant a lot to me. It came from my emotions, my experiences, and then somewhere in there, I found my voice. Well, I wanted to be a part of a Christian music showcase event that was taking place in Nashville, because I wanted to keep going with this music thing at the time. And so I submitted one of my songs, and I got the score back, and I failed. I didn't make the showcase. So you know what? I wanted to give up. I called a friend of mine, and I said, I'm not going to this conference. And he said, don't make me come over there and basically make you go to the conference, because I will. So basically, my friend cared about me enough to push me to the next level and to go regardless. And I was so glad that he did, because at that conference, I learned a lot about the music industry. I learned a lot about the life of an artist. And though I didn't go on to be a singer, I still sing. And I do it in my comedy shows. And every now and then I sing around the house or at church. So the tools that I learned at that conference were very valuable. And just like Kathy talked about with the Church Music Academy, she's training people and giving them tools to young people so that they can take to their churches. Maybe there's someone in your life, a good friend, who has wanted you to get to the next level. Maybe God's using them to prompt you to greatness, whatever that is, to help you find your voice. I'm sure if you listen hard enough, you probably know what to do. I'm Sam Beman, and you've been watching Light Talk. Take care, and God bless.
It's time to have some fun. Oh, Light Talk with Sam Beman. We got skits and interviews. We got everything but the blues. It's on. Light Talk is on. Light Talk with Sam Beman.